Contact an administrator mailboxes. If there's something where you can't get in touch with somebody immediately, everything, write it in that book. That is our log of any issues that are not being taken care of.
In the universe, matter is constantly in motion. And if we can specify three things, or four things, the position of the object or particle, the velocity at any given time, and the forces acting on it, we can not only predict what will happen in the future, we can tell what happened in the past. So physics always begins with the precise observation and measurement of motion. What I'd like to do today is to introduce you to some of the basic equipment we use to precisely observe motion and forces at East Brunswick. What we have here is called the Pasco Smart Cart. And these are wireless devices that record information on where they are and also forces acting on it. This cart will record a push force. This cart will record a pull force. Now notice that I put these upside down because they're kind of expensive, and if they have very little friction, if you put them like this, they're liable to fall off the table, so we always store these upside down. Now we also have tracks here that constrain the carts to run in one dimension, and so wherever the cart starts is 0. Then as it moves away from that, it interprets that as negative motion. And as it moves back toward the 0 point, it interprets that as positive. But you don't need this track. You can just sail this thing across the floor and it will record the data. Now, the second part of the equipment is the software that interprets it. So let's take a look at that. Okay, on your device you should have software called Sparkvue. If you don't have that, you can get it from the portal, and your instructor can tell you how to do that. What you do is you open this up, and then go right to Build New Experiment. Then that'll ask you to pick a layout. You can pick whatever you want. I'm just going to pick the simplest. And then notice that the Bluetooth symbol is now illuminated. So what I'm going to do now is turn on the smart cart. And there's a power button right here. If you press that, the power illuminates, and then you'll see the Bluetooth symbol lighting. Notice beside Bluetooth it has a serial number, 760236. Now, let's acquire the cart with the software. We're going to click Bluetooth, and you can see Smart Cart 760236 has appeared right there. If you're close to other groups, you might see theirs too. Just know what your number is. Just click on that, give it a minute to connect. And now we're connected, and this software is now ready to receive data from the smart cart. So let's first make a graph that we can record data on. We'll take a line graph. Notice time is already selected for your x-axis, though you can't change that. If we click on the y-axis, we have a lot of choices: position, velocity, acceleration, force. Let's just take velocity for the moment. Now, I'm going to put the cart up here, and it's at rest, and it's going to interpret that as the 0 position. Now, down here at the bottom is a green button called Start. Until you press Start, it doesn't record any data. As soon as you press Start, the position that the cart is in at that time is 0. So I'm going to press Start, and then let it go. Remembering that it interprets motion away from 0 as negative, watch what happens. And now stop. Now we've just recorded data for that run, and along here where the velocity is 0, it's still at rest. And then here's where I let it go. Starts moving away, then changes direction, and has a positive velocity. Now, we've looked at velocity, but you can change the axis, say to position, and it's also recorded that data. You can also change the axis to acceleration, and it's got that data for you too. Now let's go back to velocity. Okay, say I want to take a second run, and I'm going to press start, the green start button, and just kind of move this around. And stop. And it's recorded all the motion relative to the origin. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, now let's say we want to look at the position versus time. We can do that again. And let's say we like this red run, run number 2, better than this green run, right? What we have, all we need to do is to uncheck run 1, and then we have run 2. Now there's various tools down here for dealing with the graph. This icon here, the spreading arrows, will adapt the scale so that we can see more detail. Let's say we wanted to know the slope of this graph right here. We have select tools. We can select some portion of the graph. And then over here there's a slope function. Notice that gives us the slope and an equation for the slope. So you've got an enormously powerful, an enormous amount of data and a powerful way to analyze it with this. A couple other features. There's a sampling rate here. That should be at least 20 hertz. That means it's taking 20 data points per second. Over here we have various tools, and up here we can add a new page for another experiment. And I also want to call your attention, let's see, we have to this part right here, help. If you have any further questions, talk to your instructor or look it up and find out through help. Now I think you'll enjoy using this, so it's pretty precise stuff. Treat it well and you'll get very good results. So have a good time with your first lab.